A few months ago, I talked about how wheat is the best Minecraft server currency. This has led to tons of debate and reaction videos where people try to debunk the wheat currency or just offer their own takes on Minecraft server currencies. There's all sorts of theory going around, even from people who study economics, which, don't get me wrong, is really insightful, except this is Minecraft. And I'm not entirely sure the Austrian School of Economics studied Minecraft. So until they start studying Minecraft economics, we're gonna have to do our own research. That said, I've made wheat the currency on raid farms, which is my own experimental server where I'm attempting to make Minecraft servers fun again. And when the server first launched a few weeks ago, that's really all I did. I said wheat was the currency and that's it. Obviously, this quickly failed, as any currency would without anything else supporting it, with the biggest issue being that no one used the currency. This was pretty obvious since initially there was nothing you could use the currency on, and it's just worthless wheat, which really is totally fine. There's nothing on the server inherently forcing players to use wheat. For example, there's no taxes or anything that players are forced to pay. And hey, this all somewhat aligns with Austrian economics, where there's arguments that there shouldn't be an official currency, and instead players should pick the currency based on what is valuable and needed at the time. So on raid farms, players still have a choice. You can still trade with something like diamonds if you want to, or you could disregard the entire economy and just run around griefing or trapping other players. However, the raid farm's government only accepts wheat for their services. Which leads us into issue 2, being that there was nothing to use the currency on, given that no government services existed yet. To start fixing this, the first thing I added was ranks that could be purchased in exchange for wheat. All players initially start as nomads, but can upgrade to commoner for 10,000 wheat, can upgrade to merchant for 25,000 wheat, with more ranks coming soon. This creates a hierarchy in society, allows distinguished players to stand out, and most importantly, allows us to offer unique perks depending on rank, which we'll discuss shortly. The next government service we added was the plot system. With raid farms being a chaotic, semi-anarchy server, it really seems like the government's duty to provide players with some shelter and storage. However, it certainly won't be free, and it'll be way more balanced and less OP than something like free-for-all land claim. So for example, we built Conehaven Studios at spawn, and we're renting out each 3x3 room for 5,000 wheat every 2 weeks. These are in extremely high demand, so we enforced a rule that only commoners and above can rent out plots. With plots laying the foundation of wheat's value, there still needed to be more ways to spend wheat and circulate it throughout the economy. So finally, I created chest shops that could be rented out by players with the merchant rank in exchange for 1,000 wheat every 2 weeks. The shops only accept wheat as a payment method, and overall allow players to buy items in exchange for wheat. This was really insightful as we got to see the cost of things in terms of wheat, with the main takeaway being that most things in Minecraft just aren't valuable, which is another issue I'm going to try and fix. And going back to Austrian economics theory, the shops also let us see what players truly value at the time, which in our case turned out to be enchanted gear. But I'm really excited to see how this evolves, especially once we finally open up the Nether. With the wheat economy starting to gain popularity, I realized that we needed a way to stabilize the economy and prevent something like hyperinflation. The first thing I did was make wheat harder to grow by requiring it to be in full sunlight between Y level 60 and 160. This forced players to farm out in the open, where you could be killed, or even worse, have your farm get flooded and mangroved. Not only did this make wheat production more difficult, but it also improved player interaction, since players couldn't just hide away underground or up in the sky and farm infinite wheat. With wheat production slightly in check and more stabilized, I decided to try something a little more drastic: a drought, which essentially meant that wheat just wouldn't grow at all, and the only way to get wheat would be by trading for it. This certainly worked in terms of making wheat more valuable, but it worked so well that people didn't want to spend wheat at all. This is a major factor in Minecraft economics and is probably one of the main reasons that most Minecraft server economies fail. In Minecraft, you don't really need to trade. Instead, you can just go out and get everything you need on your own. This is something I'd like to experiment with and make more difficult in the future. But overall, during the drought, very little trade happened, people were unmotivated, money just was not circulating throughout the economy, and I even had to run a parkour event with a wheat prize to try and lift people's spirits. So altogether, I decided that droughts are just terrible for the economy, and instead, I've had more success with tweaking the wheat growth rates, depending on certain statistics like plot sales, bank balances, and shop prices. I haven't perfected the algorithm quite yet, but I'm really excited with how the wheat economy is going so far. So overall, while the wheat economy is quite magical, it's not an instant solution. It still faces issues similar to other currencies in Minecraft, but I still feel like wheat is better suited to overcome those issues, especially based on the points I made in the original wheat video. So I'm going to continue this experiment over on mc.raidfarms.com and do whatever I can to make the wheat economy the best Minecraft server economy. And if it fails, then that's okay. Because in the end, we're on a mission to make Minecraft servers fun again, and we will constantly adjust in order to make that happen.